Who wants a pot of coffee? I just made coffee. You want a cup of coffee? Sure, there you go. Who wants coffee? Anybody else want coffee? Who wants coffee?
And now it's time for the man with the caffeine, the new tropics for the brain. It's Coffee with Mike. Hang in, hang tight, grab your cup, and let's get this thing started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Java Chat. We have a special guest today talking about a subject that I haven't talked about in a long time. I'll let him explain it more, but his name is Norman Plotkin. Norman, thanks for joining us and welcome to Java Chat.
Great to be here.
Awesome. He was a public policy consultant and lobbyist for like 25 years. And then all of a sudden had like a real shift in life. And I'm going to let him explain that. But this is a subject that I have personal experience with. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted him to come on here, because it actually worked for me. In comparison to what he's had, it worked for me in a very small way. For him, how it's worked, you guys are going to enjoy this. So once again, welcome, Norman. If you wouldn't mind, give us a little bit of your story. Like, how you're not doing that anymore. You're obviously doing something completely different now. So how did it all happen? What's the story, man?
Well, I got out of high school. I went in the Marine Corps, and
thank you for your service. Very much appreciate you.
Yeah. And I worked in the oil fields and the rock plant, like Fred Flintstone, making little rocks out of rocks. And then I had a life-changing event. My brother was killed in a car accident, and I had a wake-up call. So I went back to school, and I was on fire. I was 25, hungry, on my way to law school. Went to college at Sac State here in the state capital of California, and got first semester there. Got a job as a clerk in the legislature. And,
jeez,
and
it's all rolling good so far. This is a good
state. I was a Marine. I was going to take the place by storm, right?
That's right.
So the clerk led to consultant, I ran campaigns. I did the policy consulting. I was the health committee and insurance committee policy consultant in the state assembly. Then I went to work as a lobbyist for the medical association. And then after a few years, I started my own firm, and I had my own firm for 12 and a half years. And I represented clients before the legislature. So I loved the public policy. I loved the strategy. I hated the politics. I mean, you got to know the politics. Like I said, I ran campaigns, and you got to know how they get there and the politics and whatnot. I
don't think anybody ever really enjoys the politics of anything. In all honesty.
Yeah, there's some interesting people out there, but yeah, it's the politics is kind of
Chief for a Marine, you're really nice.
Yeah. For a policy guy.
For a policy guy.
Yeah, I was a policy guy. There's lobbyists who are kind of smarmy, and then there's the political types that are few that really do enjoy, the conventions. And
there are. We both know many of them. I think. Another subject for another time. Please keep going.
Yeah, especially these days, right?
Yeah.
So the money and
it was too much. I'm sure
it was too much, and it wasn't congruent with my soul's purpose. I understand now. I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
And so I got sick, and and it was slow. It came on over a couple of years. I played ice hockey, and suddenly I couldn't keep up. And,
wow.
I didn't have any interest in riding my mountain bike, and so I had a good doctor who followed it along and did the right tests and caught it early.
Just so you guys know, as a point of reference, for those that don't understand how in shape you have to be to play hockey, because I've had a couple of friends, and holy crap, the amount of stamina you have to be able to maneuver like they do on the ice, it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, the goalies have just as much a hard time, because that's a lot of weight.
Oh yeah.
It's insane.
It's 2 minutes with your hair on fire, and then get off.
Yeah.
And 2 minutes to rest. And so it's real spiky. And we had a team called the Capital Hacks. It was a bunch of guys from the Capital.
Nice. Nice. The Capital Hacks. That's fun.
And the men's league plays at 11 p.m. After the kids are done and the figure skaters and everything. And so I lobbied all day and played hockey. And then of course you got to have a
so you basically double stressed yourself, first mentally and then physically.
Yeah. And that physical was, was really good. It was a good, it was a good let off the steam kind of, because it's really physical. You go.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Again, I've got friends that do it, and I look at them. I'm going, "Yep, nope, it's all you, bro. I'm gonna sit over here and just watch. I love it." Yeah.
But so that was kind of how I figured it out. Was I couldn't keep up, and so I'm like, "Doc, what's going on?" It's like, so they measured me and tested me for 2 years until. They sent me to another doctor who sent me to another doctor who poked a big needle in me, who sent me back to sent me to a surgeon. I'm 4 doctors in before they said the word.
Yeah,
cancer. So I had papillary carcinoma, and which is thyroid cancer.
Yeah.
The surgeon said, and the surgeon said, and he hands me this, Xerox copy of the tattered, explanation of it, and says, Tuesday. I'm like, Tuesday.
Jeez.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks for the heads up, Doc.
Yeah,
lots of time to plan.
Okay.
What the hell?
Message received. This is serious. I got it. So I dutifully followed direction, and I had the surgery. They've had a radical thyroidectomy and a lymph node dissection and radiation. And when they, the thyroid controls everything. And so, so they whipsawed me between hypo and hyperthyroid and and then scanning me and then radiating me. The radiation, the doctor comes in with a little lead pipe with a lid on it, sets it down, and leaves the room and says, "Don't take the lid off until I leave." Right. So that's a real. And then I had to be sequestered for 3 days. So, So I just wanted to get back to normal, right? Which was drinking too much and eating rich food and eating stress biscuits, And I didn't realize that normal is what made me sick.
I'm still trying to get over the doc saying, "Don't take the lid off until I leave." I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, I know, right?
Because I have a friend who's advanced in age now, and she had like the full scale radiation on her throat. She had the same thing, and I think they overdid it with her, because now she's shutting down. She's much advanced in age. She's in like almost 70s, I think, at this point. It's hard to watch. I don't know if there's anything that can be done for somebody like that at this advanced stage, but at least she doesn't have the cancer. But now it's like, how do you live?
I know there's a whole host of other things that come along with the program. They give you just enough information to understand the high propensity therapies. Okay. This is what they do. And they stick to this. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't let them take my thyroid.
So cool that you said that, because from that time, you've literally moved beyond that into other therapies, obviously. So where did that start? I mean, how did that happen?
So initially, I didn't hear that whisper. I didn't hear the call. I was like, I was going to get right back to normal.
Yeah.
And so this next scan 6 months later showed up again. And on my 48th birthday, I was radiated.
I thought they got rid of it all. Didn't they pull everything?
They cut it. They cut my thyroid and lymph nodes. But then 6 months later, the scan showed, and it's even worse. There was a struggle between my doctor and the nuclear medicine doctors about whether they had, take me off the thyroid medication completely and make me go hypothyroid for a period of time. And like, whoa.
Yeah, that would really drop you. Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So there was this struggle between my doctors, and so on my 48th birthday, I was radiated for a second time. And that's when fear creeped in for the first time. I didn't know fear. I didn't know I was only 5'7" until,
Wait, you're my height? Yeah, we're giants. Don't even sweat that, buddy.
Yeah, but I'm 6 feet tall in my mind.
That's straight. We are.
I was a Marine. I rode bulls as a kid.
That's right.
But when the cancer came back, that's when I tasted fear for the first time. Kind of like, the mother of all esophageal reflux. You can't get it that taste out of your mouth. And so that's when I knew I had to make changes. And listen, my marriage didn't survive it. The impact on your family, my children were afraid.
It's devastating.
My ex took pills and, drank too much. And, and so I had a friend who'd gotten out of politics and opened a yoga studio. And she took me through therapeutic yoga for cancer.
Nice.
And I learned to meditate, which was not, my analytical mind made me, great as a policy analyst. But it also, can do, terrible things to you at 10 o'clock at night when there's no doctor there to answer.
Oh yeah.
Questions,
Oh yeah. How long did it take for you to get used to that? Because that from an analytical mind to a meditative mind that's not just a 180 switch. That's like a complete lifestyle change.
It was a complete lifestyle change. And I learned about Ayurveda and my dosha for my constitution. And the meditation was fairly quick because I was in this awful place.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it was get a hold of this monkey mind now, or it's going to be ugly. So I learned to meditate. I learned about Ayurveda, and I started reading Wayne Dyer, Carolyn Myss.
Nice. Yeah, good.
Eckhart Tolle. So, teachers began to appear. I attended a Hay House conference in Pasadena.
Cool.
And in 2015, saw Wayne Dyer speak. He was on for an hour. He spoke for 3. No one left. And
no, when he talks, nobody leaves the room. No.
Yeah.
Him, Eckhart, same thing. Everybody wants to see what they got. Yeah.
I know, exactly. So the teachers began to appear, and I kind of asked the universe for direction to put myself into the service of others after reading Dyer's book, The Power of Intention.
Yeah.
And, my goal was, instead of helping corporations and politicians, now to put myself into the service of others.
Yeah.
And within weeks of making that decision, I was in LA at the time, and I learned about this college for hypnotherapy. It's the only nationally accredited school for hypnotherapy in the States. And it was right there in the valley where I was living. So my girlfriend at the time knew someone who had gone there. So we had dinner, we talked about it, and I started. And
so where were you at the part of the journey defeating the cancer? Because you've obviously now have been meditating, you have learned a whole bunch of stuff. Were you still in the midst of fighting that, or were you about done with it?
Well, 2011 was the surgery, the diagnosis and the surgery. 2012 was the second round of radiation. In 2013, I moved to LA, and to get away from the drama and all.
Yeah.
I closed down my business and divorced, and so that was 2013. I was in LA. That's when 2015, the Hay House conference and all of these things. And so,
so you were still dealing with it at that time. There were still remnants of it.
Well, I will for the rest of my life. I have to take a pill.
I got you.
But I'm 9 years from the surgery, and I had some lymph node activity a while back, but I saw an acupuncturist, with herbs and acupuncture.
I love hearing this. Yeah. I love hearing this. Yeah, I think there's so much that's dismissed over. The allopathics love doing the anecdotal explanation, which to me, forgive me, but that's just a hawk of crap. I grew up around that stuff. Me being from Hawaii, acupuncture, herbology, things of that nature. Being half Hawaiian, we have a whole thing around herbology, Chinese medicine, et cetera. And I've actually seen smaller things. I won't say cured, but I've seen smaller things go away. Yeah. Utilizing those modalities. So I know they work. I think a portion of it is the ability of somebody to understand and not accept. What's the word? Be open to things working. Because your mind can shut off any modality that it wants to. You can shut off allopathic if you want to as well. I mean, our brains are so damn. Since we're going into hypnotherapy, that's why I'm saying this.
Yes.
Your brain is so damn strong. It can make you sick. It can make you healthy. What are you willing to believe? And unfortunately, because of the way we're raised, we don't believe a lot. We believe kind of like what we're told to believe, which is not necessarily a real safe space, even though they try to make it a safe space, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Well, it's big money. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a lobbyist for the Medical Association. I represented.
So you know.
I know. Big pharma underwrites everything. All of,
Yes.
you know,
Them and the
all of
insurance companies. It was such a weird revelation when I learned that insurance companies write coverages according to the region's issues. So
Oh, yeah.
like in Hawaii, dental is a big issue, and their policies are written very weak out there, just because they know there's going to be a lot of claims on bad teeth. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And everything that goes along with that. But so you've moved into you went to the school for hypnotherapy. How long did that take to get through?
That was a year and a half.
And you've gotten your certifications, and now you have a different kind of practice, is what I'm hearing.
I do. I have a different kind of practice, and you know, it's difficult to start off. You know, I had to straddle two worlds. I worked briefly with a former client. I covered 16 Western states as a lobbyist, and I did therapy on nights and weekends, and then I was ready to launch, and I did it for a while, but I moved around. I had, you know, life, it just gives you opportunities, right?
Yeah.
I see how you frame that. So life gives you opportunities. My mom got sick, and I moved in with her to take care of her for the last year of her life, and it was what a privilege that you know, she brought me in, and I was able to help her out. And within a year, my dad had a stroke, and so within a year's time, I took care of both of my parents, and what a blessing and an opportunity. Had I been that self-important lobbyist, I never would have had the opportunity to do that. I was in the right place, and I feel like I fulfilled a soul contract with my parents, and so then I moved back to Sacramento, and I had written a book, Take Charge of Your Cancer: The 7 Proven Steps to Healing and Recovery, and I was working for my publisher. And so I was, again, straddling two worlds. Because I was moving around. It allowed me to work remotely and practice hypnotherapy on the side. And so I did that for a couple of years. And but I went all in last year. I've been doing this for 6 years, and many thousands of hours, and seen a lot of stuff, and I love it. But that was the journey to the hypnosis. Now, the power of the mind, my interest in the power of the mind was, you know, born of my cancer experience, right? So I learned about the placebo effect and the nocebo effect, and the power of positive thinking, right? And through my meditation and imagery journeys, you can paint whatever picture you want, right? So
I want to talk about that on the last section, imagery painting, because I think there's some serious power in doing that kind of stuff. It's kind of akin to visualization, if I'm hearing that correctly. So yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. We're going to take a quick short break, you guys, of 30 seconds. We'll be back to talk a little bit more about what motivates and inspires Norman to get up and go do this every day. All right, so 30 seconds. We'll be right back here, Java Chat, sitting here having a conversation with Norman Plotkin, who was just sharing his journey dealing with one of the least favorite C words in the language that I speak, which is called cancer. Because in some way or another, every one of us by now has been touched by it. He was touched by it personally, but he also has moved beyond the C word and has come into some greater realities. I'd like to say it that way. Some wonderful greater realities, even after having to deal with playing the balancing of the spinning plates. He's now full-time into hypnotherapy. And one of the things that we do in the second section of our show is we always talk about what motivates you, what inspires you, who have you followed, what lessons have you learned, and you know, whether it's a book or it's a person. He mentioned earlier he went down to listen to Wayne Dyer, and he's found Eckhart Tolle, and you mentioned one more name, but give us an idea of, like, you know, these were the beginning inspirations, I'm sure, of an awakening of sorts. And why do you do this? I get the servant part, but why?
Well, you know, you can read Eckhart Tolle's Awakening to Your Essential Purpose 10 times, still not fully understand it. I had to review my cancer in the context of, you know, what was the message of the cancer,
right?
And in the rearview mirror, I can see that I wasn't living my soul's purpose, and then it took me some time to figure out, well, what the heck is my soul's purpose? And I meditated a lot on it. And, you know, I wanted to write about my cancer story, and I tried really hard for 3 years, and then I got a coach, and she helped me get it done in, you know, 90 days. And
That's
so,
awesome.
I know, right? It's the power of focused attention.
Yeah.
So, and when my book was published, my son, who was 14 or 15 at the time, saw a 5-star review on Amazon from a woman who had bought it for her mother who had breast cancer, and wrote glowingly and thankfully about
That's awesome.
And so my son saw it and screenshot it and texted it to me. And I said, you know, if one person is better because I wrote the book, then the whole cancer was worth it. And so that's kind of it. When people come in, and it's never for what it's really about.
Yeah.
It's always something larger, and they've been dealing with longer. And the symptom is the thing that they finally brought them in, and they've tried everything else. And so when I connect dots for them from their own life, there's a sense of relief that there's nothing wrong with them, that they're normal and they're human, and what they've experienced is true, and they don't need a pill or a surgery. What they needed was someone to listen and put it into context.
How deep do you have to dig when you do this kind of stuff?
Interestingly, I don't know whether it's my intuition, and I've always been sensitive. Imagine how hard that was, being a Marine and feeling other people's feelings, right? But
they weren't issued to you. How could you?
Exactly. We wanted you to have feelings. We didn't. So I've found a way to focus my intuition, but there's also patterns. When you've been doing this for a while, you know, I go right to it. I immediately take a family history, and I go to their childhood, and family dynamics and the experiences of childhood are always going to give me the things. I had a client who had fibromyalgia for 9 years.
Wow.
He tried everything, including acupuncture. And the doctors, she used to work for the medical association. She works in the legislature. She's got great medical care. And
right.
The doctor said, you have this bucket of symptoms. It equals this diagnosis. Here's pain pills. That's all we can do is make the pain go away. Then she had an 8-year struggle with opioids.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it didn't do anything but mask the symptoms.
Yeah.
So I did a history with her. She grew up on the other side of the tracks, but she overcame all of that, and went to school, became a professional, lives, you know, a power woman in a man's world, and but she'd gone through a divorce, and she'd been in the Air Force. She was tough as nails, but she was an emotional marshmallow. And so what she did was, when she went through this divorce, she somatized that emotional pain. It was too much for her emotions, but not for her strong body. So she somatized that pain into her body, and it became this collection of symptoms that was categorized and diagnosed as fibromyalgia. Jeez. When I asked her if she was ready to give it up, she was cynical and said, well, if I could give it up, I would have done it a long time ago. I said, if you could, would you? And she said yes. And once she was willing,
you walked her through it.
I walked her through. I used the power of hypnotherapy to have her release it and let it go. And then I gave her back in hypnosis all the things she said she was going to do if it was gone, and had her envision it and imagine it. And she got her life back. She's all over social media now. She didn't go anywhere. A week later, I gave her 2 weeks, and then I checked back in. I said, you ready for your next session? She goes, yeah. And I'm holding my breath to find out what it was, right? And I said, what do you want to work on? She said, motivation. I've been sleeping in and, you know, depressed for so long. I got to relearn how to live my life. And so I was like, right. So
isn't it amazing how people lose their identity when they have that kind of pain holding them down? Like, literally, what I just heard was, I don't know who I am now, because I've held everything in this identity that I've been dealing with now I don't know what to do. I mean,
Yeah.
is that indicative of most of the clients that you come across?
Oh yeah, our stories are important. Carolyn Myss was the other one who I referenced, MYSS. Her book, The Anatomy of the Spirit,
Okay.
was another big one. Also, she's on YouTube. You can see a YouTube video of her called Why We Don't Heal. We hold on to these stories.
Yeah.
We all know people who post on Facebook about their diverticulitis or their, their, or whatever malady that they have. And, and so what do we get? There's a thing called secondary gain. You get something. And so we hold on to our stories. And what I ask always is, are you ready to write a new story? There's this saying, I think it was Hippocrates, I can't remember now. It's just matters less who, but what. It says, before you help someone heal, make sure they're ready to give up the thing that made them sick. And so people hold on to their stories and it becomes their identity. And you have to show them a different way and ask them if they're ready to write a new story. And so you ask, what drives me? This is like helping people connect dots, realize that it was, what it was this whole time, that there's nothing wrong with them really, and that they can write a new story.
So we're talking a lot about writing a new story. And for those that haven't picked up on this yet, or didn't catch it, Norman is a hypnotherapist. And I think there are some things that a lot of entrepreneurs and business professionals, even because we're so ingrained into life, that we don't know about certain things like this. Like when somebody hears hypnotherapy, they think hypnosis, and then they immediately go to Anthony Cools in Las Vegas, who makes a fool out of everybody because it's a comedy show. I think it'd be a good idea to explain what hypnotherapy is and what it isn't, because I've actually had it done, and it did help me get through a pretty rough spot in my life. It wasn't complete. I should probably do some more of it. It wasn't complete, but it certainly helped me get past a few serious blocks that I was dealing with at the time. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving an idea of, because this whole thing about understanding the story is exactly what we did. Understanding what part of the story I was digging into and holding on. And trust me, I had meat hooks in this sucker until the therapist that I had helped me understand. Yeah, so long as you got the meat hooks in there, nothing's changing. It really is you that has to make the choice. It's not up to the therapist. The therapist can only help you see it and figure out what to do. The therapist is not the one in control of you. So if you would, just a good overview of what it is and what it ain't.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to give you the written explanation from the American Psychological Association.
Even better.
Hypnosis is a state of inner absorption, concentration, and focused attention. It's like using a magnifying glass to focus the rays of the sun and make them more powerful. Similarly, when our minds are concentrated and focused, we are able to use them more powerfully. Because hypnosis allows people to use more of their potential, learning self-hypnosis is the ultimate act of self-control. I was taught that there are three things that are necessary for a hypnotic modality. Authority, a doctrine or a paradigm, and you have to feel something. So let's go over a couple of examples.
Please.
A lab coat and stethoscope,
the
medical books on the wall. Do you feel something when you go to the doctor? Not a good place to have your blood pressure taken.
Nope.
The white coat syndrome, right? So, okay, so medicine is hypnotic. It's a hypnotic modality. How about this one? The collar and a robe.
Black robe? Oh, yeah. Heart rate's going through the roof if it's a black robe. I can guarantee that.
No, like a white collar and robe. The good book.
Oh, boy. Yeah, there's another one. That's another feeling. Yep.
You feel something in church?
Yep,
so
you sure do.
That's a hypnotic modality.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So let's look at something closer to home. Doctors Fauci and Birx, virology and epidemiology. Yeah. You feel something when you watch TV with all the reports about COVID?
Yep.
This is a hypnotic. I mean, people are in mass hypnosis right now. So hypnosis is...
Brother, that was a huge statement you just made.
I know. I hope I don't get busted on the. You know.
Nah, you won't. But we're, I'm not Mark Kay, and I'm certainly not Dan Bongino, so I think we're okay at this point. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I would go beyond that. It's anybody that can put out that kind of information that creates a modality, whatever that may be.
That's right. So you got to have authority. So look, you see that. You see.
Yeah.
I got the certificates on the wall.
Yep.
The Bachmann Paradigm is hypnosis, and people feel something. They feel moved and to write a new story.
Yep.
So there are many avenues. I'm very uncomfortable by stage hypnosis. It makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. It serves a purpose to show people how powerful it is and to entertain them.
Yeah.
It's most people's introduction to hypnosis. I think it's silly, and it really.
I honestly believe that's dangerous to introduce them through that modality. Mind you, it is for entertainment. I get that part, but is that really what you want to leave the people that are being introduced to it with, as a feeling of, I don't want to be looking like a monkey again.
That's what I have to make everyone understand, that it's not a loss of control. You're not going to click like a chicken. The therapy part is the important part here, is that the hypnosis is an avenue toward change.
Yeah. I believe that if people really settle themselves down with the proper frame of what it is and what it's not, it'll be easier for them to be open to at least taking a look at it. Because how many people do we know? I mean, geez, you and I can walk down the street. We can see it in people's gaits when they walk. They've suffered some kind of trauma, and they're hanging on to something. We just don't know what it is. Yeah.
Trauma can be a bitter disappointment. Everyone's trauma, right? So, but our society makes them a victim. And so
I don't understand that part. That's the part I don't get.
I know. So here's an important piece. Viktor Frankl, who was a Viennese psychiatrist.
Yep.
Man's Life for Meaning is the book he wrote. Man's Search for Meaning. His famous quote is, between stimulus and response, between action and reaction is a space. And in that space lays your power, because you get to decide what kind of human being you want to be.
Yeah.
Now, if you react knee-jerk, you just leak your power. And that's what people do today. They leak their power. Oh, it's his fault, her fault. It's society's fault. And so rather than take responsibility, and so when you don't take responsibility, you leak. With that responsibility goes your power.
Yep.
So what I remind everybody is how powerful they are. Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. You really can do and be anything you want.
I swear accountability has to be a part of that formula, because I think a lot of people have, in what you just described, in that space, is where the accountability also lies. You're accountable for what you decide to take as far as an action is concerned, or not. If you decide to not take an action, it's still a decision. I was just talking about this on a previous podcast we just did. Your accountability matters, and what you decide is what you're going to be accountable for. Now, whether that's self-accountability or what I call general accountability, which is everything else outside of that, your choice is going to affect something, someone, some outcome, and it's going to either be internal, external, or both. What do you want that to be? And I see in today, there's way too many that are trying to make the accountability external. The blame keeps going away to everything and everyone else. And it's like, no, you still have control of you. What you decide to do is going to bring you an outcome. And if you continue to blame your external factors, now mind you, in some cases, there's some things that are out of control. I get that. But you don't have to stay there.
No. Everything in the external world is illusion and not in control. The only thing that you have control over is your inner world. And when you master your inner world, you can master the outer world.
And there we go back to self-hypnosis, etc. Yeah, that's huge, man. Thanks for saying that. That actually just confirmed a few things for me.
Cool. Another modality, another hypnotic modality, might maybe closer to home for you, is Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono is something that hasn't been done in a while. I probably have to go back home for that one, though, because there's a whole process behind that one.
Well, forgiveness. I use forgiveness I make people do radical forgiveness when I categorize their traumas. And one of the hardest things I do, there's so much abuse of children.
Yep.
Yep. Like sometimes I get emotional after a session, and I have to allow myself to, just,
Process. Yep.
And but I have to help them write letters of forgiveness, and it's a progression. It's how could you son of a.
Yep.
And that's the first letter. I forgive you. Second letter is, I get it. You were just being you. It has nothing to do with me. I forgive you. Sign. And the third one is, you taught me pain and suffering, and I'm better for it, even though it's a karmic consequence to you.
Yeah.
So thank you. I forgive you. So anyway, so forgiveness is so huge, because when you're mad at someone, who does it hurt?
Only you. It doesn't hurt them. That's just rent in your head.
Yeah, they don't even know you're mad at it. Like,
no. In fact, most times they go through life not even caring either. So it's like, yeah, it's done. I forgot about it. Doesn't bother me. Yeah.
So you carry this baggage around.
Yep.
It manifests in body syndromes. Unexplained back pain, carrying the weight of the world. Unexplained leg pain, can't run away from your problems. Unexplained arm pain, can't fight your way out. There's another good book, The Body Keeps the Score. Check it out.
We're gonna have all of these guys in the comments, so hang in there for that. We're gonna take another 30-second break. Yes, we're moving that fast. We're gonna take another 30-second break. Blah, blah, blah. And your tongue holds what if you can't talk beyond that? And when we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more about what Norman's up to now, what he's planning on, and where you can find him. So hang in there, and we'll be right back in 30 seconds. Okay, we're back with Norman Plotkin here on Java Chat, the last section of our podcast. We always like to talk about what's Norman up to now. Where's he going next? What things are on the horizon? Obviously, you have a successful practice, which is wonderful. You've written a book, and we'll definitely put the link for the book down below for those of you that want to get a copy. I'll definitely be wanting a copy, and then of course the other books that you've mentioned too. But what are you doing these days? Where are you at? And how do people find you if they want to find you? I mean, like, you've obviously got something there that's of definite value.
Yeah, I'm back in Sacramento, and I'm doing this and loving it, every minute of it. I just wrote my second book, Mastermind, Master Life.
Nice.
It published in July, and that was an effort to try and introduce people to hypnosis and hypnotherapy in a way that's not jaded like Hollywood or the
Thank you
stage show, right? So
they so overdo it, dude. It's not even funny.
I know, right? So trance has been used for as long as humans have interacted. The chemical medicine is only 100 years old.
Yeah.
Witch doctors are the witch doctors.
Yeah, for a reason.
Yeah. So I give the history of trance and what science says about it, because until modern times with functional MRIs and other measurement tools, it was all anecdotal.
Yeah,
and it was largely attributed to the persuasive powers of the hypnotherapist, and that's not really what it is about. So, and then how people can apply it in their life. So that's Mastermind, Master Life, and I had wanted to write that book for some time, and I'm really glad it's out there now.
That's the one that you got done in 90 days?
That one I did. I wrote it. I went to my buddy's house in Tahoe for 5 days.
You knocked it out in 5 days?
Yeah.
Bruh.
I took a couple of days off, and I went back and tightened it up. So it was about a 10-day process. And but I thought about it, and I had outlined it, and I knew exactly what I wanted to write. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
I was hoping to get the second one published this year, but it's been a crazy year. So
yeah.
What I'm working on now is a book. It's going to be called The Compass, and we are moving from. This is a really, really critical time. 2020 has been really, really weird, not by chance. Okay, we're at the end of an epic.
Yeah.
The epic of Pisces is ending. The materialism and Newtonian mechanics and the patriarchy of the last
how many ever 100 years or so?
2,500 years or so.
Yeah.
Is ending, and we're coming into the age of Aquarius. And instead of
wait, so the song was early?
The what?
The song was early?
they've been singing about it since the 60s.
Exactly.
It was the fifth dimension saying,
As it was. That's right.
of the age of the Aquarius.
Yep.
So it is. It was dawning then. It's now sunrise. And
Oh, there we go. Okay.
so
All right.
it's marked by, instead of materialism, energy.
Yeah.
So instead of Newtonian mechanics, the quantum field.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of masculine conflict duality, feminine and collaboration,
Yeah.
and singularity.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm starting to see that. I get what you're saying.
So it's really important that men understand how to survive in the coming age. Because if you bring, and women too. I mean, look at women politicians. They try and outman the men. They don't run on their strengths.
No, they don't. That's kind of weird, actually.
Isn't it weird?
That is odd.
Like a man. So in the coming age, the first woman president will be a woman who runs on her feminine gifts of compassion and intuition and creativity and collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And so the compass, so I'll give you an example. If you dropped a man and a woman into a forest, the woman had a compass and the man had a machete, he would hack and slash and oops, wrong way, hack and slash, go and knock down the whole thing. And he said, well, we went the wrong way. She says, I could have told you that. Now, that was the old era. In the new era, take that same man and woman, drop them into a forest, and the man says, which way?
Yeah. Yep.
And so he...
Wait. Are you saying that men are actually going to finally start asking directions? Holy shit.
I hope so. Otherwise, they're going to get lost.
I know. I still see them doing it. Some of the...
Well, see, that's why my next book is more important than any so far.
Well, we're gonna have to figure out how to get you back on here to talk more about that book then, for sure, and we can see if we can help promote it and stuff, because that's invaluable to me.
Emotional intelligence is going to be the key to survival in the coming age. Understanding and being intelligent about your emotional responses are going to be, and if you don't, you're going to suffer.
It's interesting. There's a couple of friends that I have online that I haven't met in person, but we've had numerous discussions right around this subject of emotional intelligence and how there are so many that are still stuck in the old days of just being, the 800-pound gorilla that comes in the room and swipes the whole room clean. What an analogy. But I've also noticed that there seems to be a movement. And it's not the one that's blaring out in the media about all the junk that's going on. Yeah. It's an underground movement of this emotional intelligence starting to wrap around and into life, slowly but surely. And it's not a generational thing. It's just happening. There's all this talk about, one world, and I'm not talking about the one world order or the new world order, whatever the heck they call that. That's not what I'm talking about, but a one world that works together using emotional intelligence and the ability to collaborate and the ability to build something beyond what humankind has been able to do individually. And I think interdependence, I may be wrong, but this is what I've been seeing. Interdependence seems to be becoming a greater reality as time goes on, because people are finally starting to see where it's not working and where it can work. And they're starting to gravitate toward it. At least I don't know. Am I catching that right? Or is that what you're seeing? Or
I am. And it is. So along with this change, this transition, it comes literally the ascension from 3-dimensional to 5th dimensional. So interesting that it was the 5th dimension that was saying,
yep,
the age of Aquarius. And what does that mean? The 3-dimension is height, width, depth, and that's the world we live in.
Yep.
The 4th dimension includes time.
Yep.
Time is disappearing. It's moving fast. Time is a construct of humans, and we're moving quickly through the 4th dimension and into the 5th dimension, which is energy.
Yeah. And
so many of us, there's a spiritual and emotional unity. We are all one. There's the Jungian collective consciousness and archetypes, we all are connected. That's why this whole thing about 6 feet of separation is so troubling. That's where my heart energy picks up your heart energy.
Yeah, I I'm well familiar with that whole thing. When they started saying that, I was like, you're trying to separate humankind. What are you doing? You can't do this to people.
Exactly.
And they're saying, well, 6 feet is where the virus. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's 2 feet. That's 3 feet. We don't spit that badly.
I know. So there are forces that want to hinder this movement, but it's, you know, the movement is,
it's never going to stop.
it's
You cannot stop what human nature will ultimately evolve into. Forget it.
and the evolution is coming. And so, like, I lead a group meditation on Saturday nights.
Oh, cool. We'll need a link to that if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. And it's, you know, the Maharishi effect is when collective action, the people come together and they meditate in large numbers, and they can lower crime and increase health. And it's true, and there are studies that have that affirmed it. And so when enough of us come to this singular place, we'll lift the others. We have to get to critical mass. And so
and that's the hardest part, is they're trying to keep critical mass from happening, and they've been very good at it.
Exactly, because the manipulation, you know, it's lucrative. And the struggle is real. I haven't owned a television in 5 years. So here's what happens.
Same.
I meditate, and I'm quiet, and I'm still, and I ascend, and I stay in a place of love and compassion. And then the 3D world tugs at my pant leg.
Yep.
Now there's something that gets me, you know, riled. The Course in Miracles, they're in your heart space. It's either love or fear.
Yep.
You're either in love or fear.
Yep.
And you, at any moment during the day, I do check-ins and to say, am I coming from a place of love or fear?
Yep.
Staying in a place of love is ascension.
Yeah.
And fear is third dimension.
The vibrations are completely different. The frequencies are completely divergent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's still that tug of the 3D world on us, no matter how. So it's maintaining the practice, being consistent, practicing with others. This is and then when enough of us get there.
One of the things that, and I'm kind of looking for, this may be even a confirmation bias thing. One of the things that I like to try to reaffirm, especially with people that get what we're talking about, has to do with when you're vibrating at that higher frequency, what other things actually become, or what other things trigger awareness when you're there versus when you're here. Because here seems like there's 1,000,001 blind spots. Here, I swear it's like you're on the top of a mesa with a panoramic view, a 360, that you could see anything. And from there, make a conscious choice of what looks right and what looks not right. Not bad, but not right. And what might make more sense for you to progress towards. Does that make sense?
Total. Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you see look different.
Completely. So do you have a website? You do.
www.normanplotkin.com.
Cool. And are you full up on your clients right now, or?
Always room for new clients.
Always room. Okay, cool. So if you guys want to find him, all of the links are going to be down below. For the books as well, for the books that he mentioned, for the people that we're talking, we get all of this down there in the comments for you. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell too, so you know when we get more amazing people like this to come in and hang out and give us insights and cool stuff to chew on. If you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, thank you for doing so. Make sure you download or subscribe. If you're listening on Anchor, feel free to give us a little bit of a support. We appreciate every little bit for our little podcast here. We want to thank you again, Norman, for coming and hanging out. Me personally too, you gave me some great reminders. I really appreciate you, sir, for your wisdom and your insights.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Awesome. And so, you guys know how we love to end this. We love every one of you. Every one of you that listens. Every one of you that watches, makes a comment, asks a question. We really appreciate you. Thank you for doing so. Please continue to do so. Share this out with somebody. Somebody out there is going to be wondering about this kind of subject. You might have even had a conversation with them. Give them a share, give it a like, give it a comment, ask a question. You know, he's going to get the links to this too. So if you ask a question, good chance he's probably going to answer. We love all of you. Thank you very much for doing so. Stay up, stay safe, stay healthy, and live. For Norman Plotkin and myself, ciao for now.
For more information on Java Chat, visit www.javachatpodcast.com. You've been listening to Coffee with Mike on Java Chat. Tune in weekly to this podcast for the next episode. You can also download or subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform. A production of Oasis Media Group, LLC. Located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.